I'm Sandra Williams. I'm the Minister of Discipleship and Christian Education at Friendship Missionary Baptist Church in Charlotte, North Carolina. And I've known Angela for maybe 7, 8+ years.
Plus.
We worked together in doing Christian education, and she's phenomenal. And
Oh, thank
I'm
you.
I'm delighted to do this.
Oh, thank you. All right. Well, I have 5 questions I want to go through. So the first one I'm going to read is Merriam-Webster defines philanthropy as goodwill to fellow members of the human race, an act or gift done or made for humanitarian purposes, an organization distributing or supported by funds set aside for humanitarian purposes. After hearing this, how do you think Black philanthropy is similar or different from the definition I just read?
Well, I think it's very similar in that just my background, my family background, helps me to understand what I would not have called Black philanthropy, but just helping your neighbor.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in a household where my mother was a stay-at-home mom. My dad worked 2 or 3 jobs to get what we needed to keep a roof over our head. But there were people around us who were in dire straits compared to what we were. And my mother would often, when she cooked for literally half of the neighborhood, and she would feed them. And my dad had no problem with that because he grew up as the oldest of 11 children. So he was accustomed to sharing with other people. And in the environment that he grew up with on a farm, it was nothing. If somebody killed hogs today, everybody in the surrounding area got part of the hog. Or if you had corn, and you shared everything. So
Mm-hmm.
Black philanthropy for me is sharing with those who need when you have it to share.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I agree. All right. The next question. Many people think of philanthropists as people who make large cash donations. Even now, Black-led, Black benefiting U.S. organizations receive less than 2% of philanthropic dollars. How do you think Black philanthropy has helped fill the void?
Oh my goodness. Well, as a graduate of an HBCU, and it's an all-female HBCU, uh, what we give is what we have to give. We give money, yes, but also we volunteer hours. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that is oftentimes of more value in Black philanthropy because we have more hours oftentimes than we have monies to share. But the monies that we share, we give with open hearts and generosity. But the hours that we give, we can encourage others who may not even consider it being philanthropic to assist us in doing things on our college and university campuses and other Black organizations, faith-based in church. You know full well
Mm-hmm.
in the church where we do a lot of community-based activities, collecting food for people who might not have food, even going to other countries doing mission projects, going to other parts of the United States doing mission projects. We know every time there's a flood, especially on the East Coast, or a hurricane comes through, that something is going to happen in the church where we serve to go and help those individuals, be it monetarily, physically, helping them clean up the area where they're living, or taking food and health and hygiene items.
Yeah.
So I think we're the epitome of it on the low side, but definitely the epitome of it.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Next question. The Greek root of philanthropy may be literally translated as loving people. Can you share an example of Black philanthropy that doesn't involve a cash donation?
Yeah. Literally, literally, I would say 75% of what I would describe as Black philanthropy does not include cash donations. I led mission teams to various parts of the country and in the world where we actually took a jar of peanut butter, everyone on the team, to Jamaica, West Indies. And when I didn't even know Jamaica had mountains until we started going to the site where we were serving. And that we would literally have hundreds of children, and we didn't have enough peanut butter or juice to serve hundreds of children, but we would give them a half of a peanut butter sandwich and a bathroom size cup, the little cups you use to
The
rinse
Dixie
your mouth out
cups.
in the bathroom,
Yeah.
of orange juice. And they would say, "Oh, thank you, Mom. Thank you. Thank you." And literally, I would be, I'm joking, I'm talking about it. Literally, I would be in tears because these children are grateful for a half of a peanut butter sandwich and a bathroom sized cup of orange juice. And I thought, wow, we are so blessed, but also we are also serving as a blessing to others that we didn't know were in such dire straits.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when I think of Jamaica or any of the West Indies or the tropical areas, all I see are the nice beaches, and I don't see people who are living and working on that island for people who are in the resort areas. But that gave me a different perspective. So
Right.
yeah, just whatever we do, just do it unto the Lord, knowing that you're blessing someone, you're being a blessing, and also you are being blessed.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. Next question. Even though the term Black philanthropy has only been around for a couple of decades, the practice has its origins in African traditions and practices. What are your origins in Black philanthropy?
Well, it goes back to my parents again
Mm,
and my grandparents. Uh, when my parents and my grandparents cooked, it was not unusual for whoever they knew, because most of the people who lived in the neighborhoods knew each other well, and they shared. Um, we have a tendency now in the 21st century to want to hide our um, lack. We
right.
want everyone to think that we are, well, balling out of control or whatever the dialogue is now. But people would often share when someone lost a job or
Mm-hmm.
if there was a death in the family, and
Mm-hmm.
you had people coming in from other parts of the state or the country, and you were like, what are we going to do about food? What are we going to do about lodging? Because when I was growing up decades ago, uh, hotels weren't welcoming, and there were only a few lodging houses that Black people could or were welcome to live
Mm-hmm.
in. So the doors were always open. If on Sunday it was nothing for people to just say, you all come over and
Mm-hmm.
eat. I've got this. Did you have something to cook? Because you're gonna see your neighbors, and you're gonna see your neighbors. Then we sat out on the porch a lot,
Mm-hmm.
especially good weather, and you could see if your neighbor was sitting on the porch all day and hadn't gone in to eat, that there was
Mm-hmm.
nothing to eat.
Right.
And many of them were honest enough to say, look, my kids are hungry. That was
Mm,
always the first priority: feed the kids. My
right.
kids are hungry. I don't know of anyone on the streets that I grew up on that turned anyone away.
Mm-hmm.
uh
Yep.
yeah. Sometimes instead of you having two pieces of fried chicken, you had one, because you had to share with someone who
Somebody
had
else.
none.
Right. Right.
Absolutely, yeah.
All right. And then my last question is, I want to thank you so much for giving of your time, your talents, and your treasures. What advice do you have for the future generation regarding Black philanthropy?
For the future generation, I think you have to look
Mhm.
back historically, look back familially in your families, look at your neighbors, look at the people in your church, watch what they're doing and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And for those of us who are older, we need to share what we've done, not to brag or boast about it, because it's not about that. But when, African-based people are storytellers.
Mm-hmm.
We can tell our story and others will say, wow, I didn't realize. And sometimes, especially if you're on the receiving end, you can tell the story of how someone in the community helped you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're on the giving end, you can also tell the story of how you helped others, but you yourself at one time in your family had been helped.
Mm-hmm.
So we're excellent storytellers. Just tell the story, tell it with sincerity and honesty. And I think once you plant the seed, someone else will come along and water it, and we can keep supporting one another, because oftentimes we're the only ones that we can turn to, and someone will do it with love and compassion, undergirded by faith.
Oh, well, thank you so much for your time and your insight. And I just can't say enough of how much I I see and appreciate all of the things that you do for our community, for our church. And so, thank you once again.
Oh, you're welcome, Angela. It was my pleasure.